The series begins at the airport, where Gihan is preparing to leave for the USA to reconnect with his daughter. He receives a call from the frontman, the person overseeing the games, warning him of dire consequences. Ignoring the warning, Gihan heads back to Seoul. Along the way, he stops at a store, buys a knife, and later discovers a tracker implanted behind his ear, which he promptly removes. Meanwhile, Detective Jun Ho wakes up disoriented in a hospital. A year earlier, he had infiltrated the games to search for his missing brother, In Ho, who was revealed to be the frontman. In their confrontation, Jun Ho shot In Ho and fell off a cliff, presumed dead. However, he was rescued by a passing ship and has just awoken from a coma. 2 years later, Jun Ho is now working as a traffic officer, his career in shambles after losing his phone, along with all evidence of the games, in the ocean. Though nearly fired for disappearing without explanation, his boss saved him from dismissal, and Jun Ho was merely demoted. In his free time, he works with Captain Park, the man who saved him, searching islands for clues about the games. Meanwhile, Gihan is hiding in a motel where he's installed tons of security cameras. One night, he finds the frontman at the door with 2 human heads, but it's just a nightmare. Later, he meets with Loan Shark, Mr. Kim, and his assistant was Sok, who is hired to look for the man recruiting new players for the games. So far, they haven't found him, so the Hung pays the extra money to hire more people and even offers a big reward for whoever catches him. Wasak organizes a whole operation by hiring a bunch of gangsters. They share all the clues they have and spread through every subway station, checking any man that barely fits the description. However, there has been no success so far, and Wasak is starting to wonder if the story is true. One night, while taking a break, the duo finally sees the recruiter playing a slapping game and giving the invitation to my young gay. As the recruiter leaves the station, Kim and Wasak follow him while calling Dion to warn him. At the same time, young D gets a call from his pregnant ex-girlfriend June, but he doesn't answer. June is currently at the clinic but cancels the appointment after she also gets an invitation to the games. Moments later, the recruiter goes to the park and approaches tramps to make them choose between a bread roll or a scratch card. Only one person chooses the bread, all the others choose the card, but not a single one has a prize. Afterward, the recruiter throws the leftover bread on the ground and starts stomping on them, saying it was the tramps who wasted this food. Kim and Wasak record it, however, the recruiter is fast and easily overpowers them both. Moments later, Gihan finally arrives and finds some blood and a knife but not the man. Meanwhile, the recruiter has taken Kim and Wasak up to a fancy room and tied them up. He tells them they must play rock, paper, scissors, and the loser will have to play Russian roulette. During the first few rounds, nothing happens because there's only 1 bullet in the gun, so the chances are low. However, the recruiter adds a bullet each turn, and eventually Mr. Kim is shot in the head. Seeing this, a terrified Wasak agrees. In the evening, Jun Ho breaks into the office where Kim organized the operation and finds some paperwork with a motel address. When Gihan returns to the motel, the recruiter is waiting for him. He shares that he started as a mere grunt in the games, and he had to remove the bodies of the dead. Players are shooting those who misbehaved. One day, he had to take care of a player who turned out to be his father, yet the recruiter didn't hesitate to kill him too. Then, the recruiter announces they'll be playing Russian roulette. The gun changes hands over and over with nothing happening for several rounds, but eventually the bullet hits the recruiter and he instantly dies. Seek pockets and finds a black envelope. At that moment, Jun Ho bursts into the hotel and finds Wusa in a random room. After freeing him, he keeps searching and finds Gihan. When he's about to arrest him, Wusa knocks Jun Ho out with a fire extinguisher. A card from the envelope mentions the club HDH and the date of 31st at midnight. When Jun Ho wakes up, he and Gihan share what they know and agree to work together to win the games. Wusa wants to help too to avenge Kim. Gihan shows them all the money he won and the weapons he's collected so far. There's a hole in the wall that takes them to a back room where they can practice shooting without anyone hearing. At the parking lot of an amusement park, No Oil is sleeping in her car. A cop knocks on her window and warns her she can't do this, so this must be the last time. The next day, she starts her shift as a park mascot, and she's so nice to the children that a girl gifts her a drawing. After work, she takes the little money she made to a broker, hoping he can rescue her daughter from North Korea. However, he's already searched for the kid to no avail, and there's nothing else he can do. That night, a new recruiter brings No Oil an invitation to the games. The next day, she quits her job and calls the number on the card to agree to join the games. Then, she burns it, replaces it with a fake one that has a tracker, and hires a bunch of thugs who trained with his weapons in the hidden room. Later, Gihan calls his daughter but doesn't dare to say anything. He only listens to her voice before hanging up. When the day finally comes, the club is full of people celebrating Halloween. Dion and Woosa search the club while Jun Ho keeps guard outside. He notices two people wearing the guard uniforms from the games and follows them into the club, threatening the bouncer to be able to pass. Unfortunately, he's too late. One of the guards causes Woosa to knock him out while the other makes Gihan leave the club. Jun Ho finds a sleeping Woosa and notices on the tracker that Gihan is leaving, so he warns the hired thugs. Gihan is brought to a limo that the thugs start following in their cars. The frontman talks to Gihan through a speaker who refuses to stop the game. When Dion asks, he changes the game. It will continue as long as the system keeps on ruining people. When they reach an empty street, hidden snipers on various roofs fire at the tires of the thugs' cars to stop them. Gihan notices this and opens fire inside the limo, but the glass is bulletproof. Determined to follow the plan, Gihan has no choice but to volunteer to participate in the games again, and sleeping gas soon knocks him out. At the docks, 3 trucks pick up more people, including No Oil. She wasn't chosen to be a player though, she'll be one of the guards. The next morning, Jun Ho and Woosa get on a park ship with the thugs to follow Gihan's signal on the tracker. On the island, Gihan wakes up in the Squid Game facility with all the new players. He's wearing the game uniform and has the number 456, like last time. The guards arrive to explain the rules. The players will be there for days, and those who win all 6 games get a big cash prize. Young Gia thousands of people to lose money. Now, he's a wanted man for fraud. Other people also complained about the situation and the masks, so the video shows the very high debt of each person who opened their mouth. Then, a huge piggy bank appears on the ceiling, which will accumulate money throughout the games until it reaches 45 billion. After each game, they can vote on whether to keep playing or not. If the majority votes to stop, everyone can leave with the money they'll have accumulated at that point. The guards are interrupted again when young Siak discovers that his old mother, GM Jang, is also a player. But the games don't care about people's ages. The next step is signing the consent forms. After young Siak is done, he's approached by Namji and rapper Thanos, who lost money on the crypto scam. Young Dad doesn't feel guilty, and Thanos gets rather aggressive. So Namji has to pull them apart before things escalate. When it's Gihan's turn to sign, he reads the rest of the rules. Players can't quit, and those who don't play will be eliminated. The only way to stop things is during the voting ceremony. Then the players get their pictures taken before they're sent out to the first game. Gihan is shocked to discover his old friend Young Bae is also playing and tells him to stay close to him. Meanwhile, Jun Ho and his men follow the tracker until they finally arrive on the island and send out a drone to search for the facility. The island appears to be empty except for a fisherman. The group quickly surrounds him and finds the tracker among his tools, which means the game people removed it from Gihan's mouth when he was gayest. Soon the players are sent out to a yard where a huge doll is waiting. Dion is worried because his friends don't show up and remove his dental implant to discover the tracker is gone, so he'll have to play. The first game will be red light, green light. Players have 5 minutes to reach the other end, allowing the whole group to advance a lot without trouble. However, when Thanos tells a woman that there's a bee on her neck, she freaks out and moves, so she instantly gets shot. Everyone is in shock as the bee flies away and scares another person into moving, so this player gets shot too. This causes lots of people to panic and try to run away. Thus, No Oil begins shooting them all down from regard spot. Dion keeps yelling to remind everyone to stay still, but they still lose dozens of players. Now people believe Gihan, so he explains the doll can only tell they're moving through sensors, and they hide behind players bigger than them whenever they can move. Thanos uses the chance to take some illegal candy that he hid in his necklace. Following Dion's instructions, the group keeps on playing pretty well, although No Oil shoots a woman for trembling. Thanos pushes 3 players on purpose, and they get killed. A few more turns and many deaths later, half the group manages to cross the line. One of the shot players is still alive, and Dion goes back to help him reach the end. But No Oil breaks the rules and kills the bleeding man after he crosses the line. Once the players are back in the shared room, they're informed that people were killed and remain. When a bunch of players begin begging for their lives, Dion reminds them they can vote to end the game now. First, the guards fill the piggy bank with the money accumulated so far, which isn't much if they have to divide it among so many players. The voting begins, and the players have to press a button before they're given a sticker that represents their vote. Seeing that so many people are voting to stay, Dion tries to warn them about the next games, and an argument ensues, so he's forced to admit he did this before. Thanos sees this as an advantage because it means Gihan can help everyone survive. The guards interrupt the argument and force everyone to keep voting. The numbers reach a tie and only player is left. This man votes to stay, and while half the group celebrates, it's revealed is Jun Ho, who has joined the game in secret. Later, during the players asking for tips on the next game, he tells them it's Dalgona, a game in which they must carve out a piece of candy without breaking it. Some players want to keep the information for themselves to have an advantage, but Dion promises he'll help everyone equally. In Ho keeps asking Dion why he came back, not understanding the concept of altruism. Meanwhile, GM Josh shares her food with Jun. Because she can tell she's pregnant. Young D until he snaps and starts a fight. So and How tries to calm them down when Thanos and Nam Yu try to fight him instead. In her shows his skills and easily overpowers them both. This earns him everyone's respect. In the middle of the night in hotels Gihan, that his pregnant wife is very sick and he needs money to pay for the treatment, gaining Giant's pity. In the facility labs, the guards are having trouble harvesting the organs from the dead players. A lot of them have been deemed unsalvageable because they've been shot a second time, which isn't supposed to happen. They realized No Oil did that, so she's taken to see the officer who is overseeing things, while Jun Ho's in the game. The officer met No Oil years ago when she was a rebel fighting in North Korea and hired her for the games in exchange for finding her child. He yells at her for breaking the rules, but No Oil doesn't care and just walks away. In Seoul, Jun Ho tries to get help from the police, but they still refuse to do anything without evidence. He tells USA and the thugs to keep searching the islands in the area. However, Park says they'll have to wait to sail again because of the bad weather. The next day, Thanos continues to secretly take his happy candy. June he approaches Myung-gita, telling him she's keeping the baby, which goes against what they agreed on. The argument is interrupted when the second game is announced, but it's not Algona like Gihan predicted. The group is taken to the yard and asked to split into teams of 5. Most people don't trust Gihan anymore, so he ends up in a team with Jun Ho, Jongbae, Ho, and Jun-hee. The game is 6-legged pentathlon, in which each team will have all their legs tied together. They'll take turns playing a mini-game at every M mark, and if they win, the team can move to the next one. There are 5 games and minutes to finish them all. After the teams choose which player will play each game, the guards tie their ankles together. While the first 2 teams start playing, the waiting team some pieces and begins practicing with some stones from the ground. When a team fails at a game, they're allowed to start over as many times as necessary, but it loses a lot of time. This makes them more scared and nervous, causing them to make even more mistakes. Instead of paying attention, a guy tells Thanos to share his happy candy. When the first round ends, both teams fail to finish the games, and all 10 players are shot on the spot. More guards arrive to take the bodies away in coffins, but No Oil always makes sure to shoot them again. The next team to play is GM Josh. Young Mi is very nervous and keeps losing the first game, but Yeonju gently calms her down, and she manages to win. Young Sik misses the first rock throw but nails the second. GM Jo plays with the little pieces and makes a small mistake, however. She quickly recovers and wins thanks to her son's support. As the crowd cheers for them, the 15 member gets too nervous because she sees the blood on the ground and she can't get the spinning top ready. After many tries, Yeonju slaps her a couple of times and threatens her until she concentrates, which helps reduce the spinning top correctly. Lastly, Younger has to kick a pom-pom 5 times and pulls it off on her first try, so the team wins the challenge just in time. The teams keep playing with various degrees of success. Most of them pass, including Thanos' group, but a few lose and get killed, so there's blood everywhere now. The final 2 teams are some randoms in Giants. June he starts by winning on her first try, and Young Bae does the rock toss on his first try thanks to his practice. Ho is also successful without missing. Unfortunately, Jun Ho keeps missing the spinning top and starts. Freaking out, Gihan has to calm him down. Thanks to that support, Jun Ho finally wins the game with only a few seconds left behind. She shares with her team that she needs the money to pay for the operation to finish her transition. Nobody is happy to see that Gihan has made it. His team decides to do proper introductions, and Jun Ho uses a fake name. Meanwhile, 2 guards push No Oil into a room and scold her for ruining the bodies. She tries defending herself, but there are 2 of them and they have a knife, so they overpower her. As they cut her cheek, they tell her this is the last warning. If she messes with the bodies again, they'll cut her fingers. After, the guards go to the players' room to add the money to the piggy bank and announce 110 players died during the last game, which means 255 are left. Now it's time to vote, and Jin Han's team, including Jun Ho, agrees to choose to stop. Young Sik ignores his mother's worries. However, an old man insists it's still not enough money since most people here have huge debts. An argument ensues, and soon they begin chanting one more game, quickly gaining the support of lots of people. In the end, staying in the game wins. Later over dinner, Young Sik explains to his mother that he is more death than she knows about, but GM Jaw is still disappointed by him. Dion's team isn't happy with Young Bae either because he also voted to stay, but they still keep him around. They also give Jun Hee some extra food for the baby. In the bathroom, Thanos' team is harassing Jung Ji because he chose to leave, but when they're about to fight, Jun Ho comes in, and Thanos leaves in fear. The mood in the entire room is tense. So Gihan tells her team to sleep under the beds and take turns keeping watch in case of an attack. In the middle of the night, John needs to go to the bathroom and tells her son not to worry because she has a knife hidden in her hair. The guards tell her nobody can come in or out of this hour, but she cries and begs until she's allowed to go. The next morning, Jun Ho divides his team into two groups to keep searching all the islands in the area. At the facility, the players are taken to a room that looks like a carousel for the third game. It's called Mingle, and they have to step on the platform, which will start rotating when they hear a number. The players must form groups of that size and go into rooms in just 30 seconds. As the platform begins to spin with all the players on it, a children's song starts to play. The first number is 10, and people immediately panic as they grab whoever is closer and run to the doors. When time runs out, the few players that stayed behind are immediately killed. After the bodies are taken away, the platform spins again, and the chosen number is 4. Players panic again, and the teams of 5 from the previous game have no choice but to split. Most people manage to find enough partners to run to the doors. There's one group that only brings 3 people. After time runs out, the guards shoot the players left on the platform, but also the team that got the wrong number. This time, No Oil doesn't shoot the bodies more than once and follows protocol correctly. For the next round, the number is, people freak out again. And the mood is tense, because many players are offended after the split from last time. Young Sik is dragged away by 2 guys, so GM Jar ends up in a room with Jun Ho and Gihan. Jun Ho asks seemingly innocent questions about Young Sik to make it look like he abandoned his mother, planting the seed of doubt in her mind. Although she defends him, after the losers get killed, GM Jar reunites with her crying son with a tight hug. The following number is. The teams are formed pretty quickly, but as they hurry to the doors, Young Mi is pushed off and she is left outside. Yoonju and Ji are devastated by her death, and Yoonju yells at Young D for closing the door, but he points out their group was full, so he saved the team's lives. The number for the final round is, and Hope pushes a guy out of the way to make it to the door with Young Bae, but a third person comes in before they can lock it. Without hesitation, Ji kills the third guy, so the number in the room is correct. The game ends with only players still alive. In the meantime, Jun Ho sends out a drone from the ship to take a better look at all the islands. Eventually, he finds a door hidden under the bushes, so the group heads there to investigate. When they try opening the door, a hidden bomb explodes and sends them all flying. Most of the group survives, but sadly one thug returns to the ship as a dead body. Park thinks they should go back, but the group refuses. Jun Ho starts putting new rules in place to avoid more information leaking since he thinks they have a mole. When the players return to their room, Young details to Jun Ho that they should try to be together again after the games are over. However, when he starts talking about investing, she realizes he only wants the money and turns him down. Young Bae counts the stickers and realizes there are more people who want to stay, so Ji wants to talk to them to try to change their minds. However, Jun Ho points out that the more they bother them, the angrier people will get, and they can't afford another fight. Soon the guards arrive and the voting begins. Many people are changing their minds, including Yoonju, who doesn't want to play anymore after seeing Young Ji's death, and Young Sik, who wants to make his mother proud. In the end, it's a perfect 50-50 tie, so the guards announce they'll vote again the next day. During dinner, people gather with their stickers to eat together. Both sides try to convince the other to change their minds, and a new argument begins. While everyone fights, Jihoon notices that his food package includes a fork, which tonight's dish doesn't need. Among all the men in the bathroom, Sang-woo uses the chance to escape. A furious Thanos pushes Young Ji to the ground to start choking him. Some Young D retaliates by stabbing him with a fork in the neck. Then, Young Bae kicks Thanos off and hides in a stool since the fork is still in Thanos' neck. Other players grab it and use it to kill too. The fight also breaks a mirror, providing them with shards to do more killing. two guards outside hear what's going on but do nothing. Soon, 5 deaths are announced in the main room, and the money is added to the piggy bank. The men from the bathroom come back and start accusing each other of starting the fight to make the other team look bad. As they begin arguing again, they count the stickers and notice that the team that wants to leave now has more people. The tense moment is interrupted when the guards send them all to bed on the ship. One of the thugs discovers Park messing with the drone, so Park quickly stabs him and throws him into the water. When a man comes over to check on the noise, Park pretends it was a wave hitting some boxes. Back in the facility, the guards are told to get ready for a special game. Gihan thinks the other team will attack them during the night, and Ho believes they should attack first, but Sang-woo disagrees. He points out they shouldn't be killing each other. Instead, they should be teaming up to go after the people in charge. His plan is to wait for the fight in the room to start and try to take the guns from the guards using the element of surprise. Meanwhile, Young has stolen Thanos' necklace and is taking too many happy candies. He also reveals he has the fork. Jun Ho takes pity on Young Bae and tells him to hide when the fight starts. As the lights go out, Dion and his close friends hide under the beds. The other team attacks, and soon people are dying all over the place because of the darkness. Sometimes they don't even know whose team the victim is on. It hurts to watch these deaths and not help, but he thinks this small sacrifice is needed to avoid more deaths in the future. He throws some glass to try to kill Namgu, but his aim fails, and Namgu uses the shard to kill more people. Eventually, the lights are turned on, and the guards come into the room to stop the fight. Dehana, his team pretend to be dead, and when the guards try to check on them, they pounce on them to steal their guns. The players immediately open fire and kill half of the guards, while the other half hides behind some beds to shoot back. The more guards are killed, the more guns the players can steal. Noticing this, the officer tells the remaining guards to leave the room, and the door is locked. One guard accidentally stays behind and is taken hostage. Then one teaches them how to use the more advanced weapons, since she used to be a sergeant in the special forces. After, the team forces the hostage to guide them to the admin office. When they reach the colorful stairs, they're ambushed by more soldiers who immediately open fire. In a shootout, the team quickly brings down all the guards without much trouble. After destroying the cameras, they keep moving while gathering bullets from the fallen soldiers on the way. When they're about to reach the admin door, more guards appear and open fire, quickly killing the hostage as another gunfight begins. Gihan and Young Bae decide to move ahead and search for the boss, while the rest of the team buys them time. The duo opens every door in the quarter and they all appear blocked. Then, Gihan notices a sensor on the wall and puts on a soldier mask, which opens a wall into another quarter. They encounter more guards on the way, so they use the mask to trick them and shoot them down, only for more guards to come after them. In the main quarter, the team loses a few people and is running out of bullets. Dion and Young Bae call them to tell them they're stuck with soldiers too, so two guys run to help them. They hold volunteers to look for more bodies to get more ammo. Meanwhile, the hunt takes a risk and goes closer to the bodies to steal some bullets, rolling out of the way with only a graze on his arm. At that moment, Ho arrives with the 2 men and tells Gihan he's found an alternate entrance to the office, but he needs to keep the guards distracted. However, on his way out, he hears all the shooting and gets scared, so he drops the radio and returns to the room to stay with the others. And you think it's suspicious that nobody answers the radio, and decides to go investigate. Once Ho is alone with the 2 men in the hallway, he waits for them to turn around and kills them both. Then, he calls Gihan on the radio and pretends they were all shot, using the dying noises of his teammates to make it look like he's dead too. He also calls his men to order them to wrap things up in the main room. Unju gets all the ammo from Ho, but before she can leave, a bunch of guards arrive. She wants to fight them. However, GM Jock convinces her to stay hidden, since she can't win alone. In the main quarter, one of the team members decides to self-delete with his last bullet. Sometime later, the remaining players are playing red light, green light with 2 dolls this time. And this is the end. If you enjoyed the recap and want to stay with all our future content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll never miss out any of our recaps.